everyone. Welcome back to She Birds Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Wright, and today's guest is Russell. Hi, Russell.
Hey, Brooke, how you doing tonight?
Great. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
I'm so excited about it. Even though for an old man, 9 o'clock at night Central Time is pretty late.
Man, it is. I mean, I'm 37 and 10 o'clock is late for me. Like, I'm tired right now.
Where are you
but
broadcasting from, Brooke?
I'm from Kentucky.
Oh, you're in Kentucky?
Yep. Good old
Oh,
Kentucky.
I have been. We need to talk about the crime that I have been doing some podcast about over there where the sheriff shot the judge. It's like an old
Oh,
country western song.
yeah. Man, I remember hearing about that. So what inspired you to start writing crime fiction?
Mm. Well, I practiced law for 41 years,
Oh wow.
and I've run across some characters that you can't forget.
Oh yeah.
And so after, and I've always wanted to finish a book. Notice I used the word finish because I was
Mhm.
always starting a book. And when I was about 50 years old, my youngest son was leaving for college and he patted me on the back. He said, "Dad, you better hurry up. You're running out of time." Whoa. So I finished the first book. And then after that, I realized that was just a character development. That wasn't a book. So then I
Mhm.
wrote the next book, which was Murder for Me. And then its sequel, Murder by Storm. And uh, it was the composite of the characters tried out for a psycho crime thriller because they were so crazy.
Oh wow. And I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about working in law because I worked as a paralegal and they are some crazy characters that come in. I'm like,
Yeah.
so definitely. So how did you come up with the concept for Murder for Storm?
Well, I was having I had two issues. I was writing the sequel for Murder for Me,
Mhm.
and uh, the readers would come to me afterwards or contact me and ask, "Why did Marilyn? How is she able to do what she is able to do to men, and uh, why is she like that?"
Mhm.
And so I had to answer that. I thought that was crucial to answer that question. And it was crucial to do it from her viewpoint. So it was like a challenge to write from a woman's viewpoint for me. And it was difficult, but that's what I was doing. And then after I rode out my fifth hurricane, Hurricane Harvey in Houston, I decided to put the murder, the whole story in a hurricane. Because
Okay.
let me tell you, that changes everything. It changes where the police are, where
Mhm.
DNA can exist. It changes everything.
Oh wow. It does. So what drew you to the thriller genre in particular?
Well, it was the characters. I have, I've known two psychopaths in my life.
Oh wow.
And uh, I wanted to write about them because they're not the way you would think they are.
Huh.
And uh, you can't write about psychopaths unless you either write a thriller like this or a comedy, right? One or the
Right.
other.
Right.
A dark comedy, but a comedy.
Wow. So can you share any challenges that you faced while writing your first book?
Yeah, I had a lot of challenges. Number one is uh, you don't, you never realize how hard writing a book is until you're doing it, right?
Mhm.
And it can get overwhelming. And it's overwhelming a lot of times because you just write and you write and you write. And even the worst part, this is the story, Brooke. I got to tell you this story. So after one day of writing, one of the many days, I remember talking to my adult son because I have two adult sons, and it was the oldest one, the truth teller in the family. You have a large family, you always have one of those truth tellers. They're terrible. And so my oldest son is that. And I said, I wrote some of the best stuff today I've ever written. He said, let's wait and see how you feel about it in the morning. Because he knows no matter how confident I am about when I finish writing for the day, I'm going to wake up and be ready to erase half of it.
Mhm.
That is a
That-
major challenge. Okay. Because you've got to push through the good and the bad and
mhm.
finish the darn first draft, no matter what. That's a real challenge. And then, what's even worse is editors, right? Because then they come through. Brooke, I don't know if you've had to ever deal with editors, but they're terrible. They come through and they rip up everything. They say, "Oh, this is terrible. This is that was a major challenge." I once the editor that I had for Murder by Storm. She walked in one day to the cigar bar where we were going to meet and work for the afternoon, and she threw chapter 7 at me just because she was so mad about it. It was crazy stuff. Of course, I didn't, but I would have never achieved what I did. Won the Fire Award
Mhm.
for Murder by Storm. I'd have never achieved what I did if not was she not my editor, and if she wasn't so pushy that she would do stuff like throw pages at me. It was important. She wanted to make a point.
That's a good
Thank you for
editor, man.
laughing.
That's a
Right?
good
And a
editor.
terrible editor at the same time. That's a real challenge.
Man. So tell us about the main character in Murder by Storm. What inspired their creation?
Okay, there are two main characters. Uh, I'm going to start off by talking about my protagonist. My protagonist is a failed, know it all East Texas detective. And he's inspired by my cousin in law, who is that tall, uh, who has these weird traits about him that you have to write about. Like here's one trait about him. And I'm talking about my character now. I would never say this about my cousin in law because he would kill me. Is he has a mustache like a caterpillar that doesn't move with at the same places as his mouth moves. As his mouth is moving,
Yeah.
like my mustache is moving with my mouth. His
Yeah.
mustache doesn't move with his mouth. It moves separately than his mouth. It's the weirdest thing I ever saw in my life. You're standing there talking to him, and you see that mustache, and you can't stop looking at it. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. His wife finally made him shave it off, and we were having Mexican food because I'm in this transition of moving from Atlanta, the place of four seasons and cool weather, whether you believe it or not, because I know its reputation is hot, but it's cool if you're from Houston. And we're
Mhm.
moving to Houston, Texas. That's already like 100 degrees every day. And
Oh wow.
like I'm in a hotel right now. We don't. We're selling the house in Atlanta. We hadn't bought a house in Houston. I'm a transient. But
That's
we're
funny.
having Mexican food, and I said, "You need to grow that mustache back." And his wife said, "Stop saying things to him, Russell."
That's funny. So so what do you want your readers to take from Murder by Storm?
For Murder by Storm, I want them, uh, number one, to understand how Marilyn is able to manipulate men the way she is. Uh, it is not what you would stereotypically think how she's able to do it
Hmm.
and why she is. I think at the end of the book, uh, this very evil woman, you'll read at the end of reading the book, you're like, okay, I get it. I understand why she's the way she is. I
Hmm.
think you'll understand it, which is a major achievement to create a multi-dimensional character, right? Is that your
Mhm.
dog? Did I see your dog?
Yeah.
I got a dog too. My dog's asleep on my hotel room floor. So, uh, but uh, so that's the number one thing. The number two thing, there are things that you see in a hurricane, living through a hurricane, that
Mhm.
if you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it.
Oh
And
wow.
when you go through it, I wanted to write about it. And there are things as an author that occur to you and that sound really bad, but
Mhm.
occurs to you as an author that uh, when a hurricane happens that you can't believe. Like the fact, I remember one of the things that hit me during Hurricane Harvey is thinking, all this floodwater DNA evidence can't exist. It's
Yeah.
a great place to kill somebody. And the police are never where you think they're going to be because they're rescuing people. So they're not guarding, they're not protecting, they can't come rescue.
Yep. Yep.
It's totally different. And the third thing that I wanted people to get out of it, that, we live in a very divided world.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a lot of anger and hate, but when people are in a crisis,
Mhm.
uh, they can risk their own lives to help strangers. They don't care what race they are, what their religion is, what their politics are. People risking their lives to save strangers. I
Mhm.
saw it, it changed my life, and I wanted to write about it. And that's in the book too.
Man, that's so sweet. That is. So, what scene in particular in
I
Murder
really
by
hated that
Storm?
you described my murder books as sweet. That's really bad. Stop, Brooke. Why are you attacking me now? You're hurting my feelings. I'm gonna have to. Uh, I'm gonna have to
What?
call that sheriff that killed the judge in Kentucky and have him come look for you.
Oh man, no.
He's out
So,
on bond. He's out on bond, bro.
did he really? I didn't even know.
Yeah, he bonded out. So he's out
What?
there.
Oh man. So was there any particular scene in Murder by Storm that you had the most fun writing?
Well, I do love murder scenes. I got to
No.
tell you,
Okay.
there is a dog in this book. You know how you hear that cliche about actors? They don't want to be in a TV show or a movie with an animal in it because the animals steal the show.
Oh.
You've heard that cliche, right? So I meant to have this dog. It's just a very minor character. And this is the funny thing, Brooke. We talked before we got on the air, and you said we want to talk about writing a little bit. And it's one of the things as your characters become more dimensional and more alive, especially in your own mind as an author, they start diverting from the outline and saying things that you didn't expect them to say and doing things that you didn't expect them to do. And you have to rewrite everything because I'm a planner, not a pantser. So I have to rewrite over and over because the characters start taking over. Well, this dog, the final, the final scene where it's the climax of the book, and this dog is involved, and writing where that it is organically convincing and natural in a conflict, and there's a dog in it, that's a lot harder than you think, and it's a lot more fun because all of a sudden the whole chemistry of everything, it's not just two people fighting it out, it's got this crazy dog going crazy in it.
Wow. I have heard that, like, whenever a dog is involved in a movie or a story plot, then the dog gets the most attention. I have heard that.
And uh, there's another thing that was a lot of fun. So uh, I write comic relief in these books because they're very tense, and the reader doesn't want to be nervous all the time about turning the page. They want to have some fun pages too. So I my comic relief is uh, O.C. Sims, the that detective that I was talking about with the silly mustache. Well,
Okay.
he has he meets a woman and he has a girlfriend in this story, and and every time they try to get intimate, something ridiculous happens to interrupt them. Something crazy, and it gets crazier and crazier. And I enjoy writing the comic relief.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
It's like a
Nice. Nice.
romance that never quite hooks up.
Hmm.
It's funny.
Nice. So, can you tell us a little bit about Murder for Me and what makes it different from Murder for Storm? I mean, Murder by Storm.
Sure. It's the book before, and it involves the introduction of Marilyn and OC. But one of the feature characters in that book is uh, a lawyer with a two personalities, a loving personality that wants to do right and take care of his family, and the very, very evil, very corrupt personality. And they're in a battle with each other throughout the whole book.
Hmm.
And you don't know who is going to finally win the battle and become the single personality till the end of the book.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of a psycho thriller because while you're watching everything around you, you also have this lawyer losing his mind and trying to save himself.
What?
I knew that
Wow.
guy.
You did?
I knew that guy.
Man. Wow. So, what can readers expect in terms of character growth in Murder for Me compared to the first book?
Well, Murder by Storm, you
Yeah.
understand in the first book, in Murder for Me, Marilyn, you see what she does, but uh, you don't really understand uh, why she is the way she is until you get inside her own head in Murder by Storm. You get it, you see that you really see the development of Marilyn as a complete person, not all evil, but a person that thinks what she's doing is what she should do. And this is why she does it. And by the end of the book, like I said before, you're like, okay, I get it. I understand why she's doing this now.
Wow. So, let me ask you a question outside of the questions I already have.
Okay.
Um, so you was a lawyer and you came across like crazy people. I wouldn't say crazy people, but people that I don't want to describe them as crazy people,
Because
but
they don't
as
think they're crazy.
yeah,
They don't think
yeah,
they're crazy. They're just they're just in a jam.
yeah, yeah. So you come across people that are just in the jam, and the stories that you create, are they based on like some of these people that you come across, like
No, it's
or
like
not?
this. And you know this, Brooke. You said you were a paralegal.
Yes.
You you come most of us normal people
Hmm.
we're there's a lot of sameness about us.
Hmm.
But every once in a while, during the course of your life, Brooke, you've run across two or three or four or five people that are unlike everyone else. And you
Yeah.
remember so much about them
Hmm.
because they're so different, sometimes in really great ways, and sometimes in really bad ways, and sometimes not good or bad, just very different, right?
Yeah.
And uh, those are the characters that I had to write about, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't take stories of, of write stories about cases that I was involved in. I wrote
Mhm.
about characters that I couldn't forget.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. So, how did you go about expanding the world and characters for the second book?
Well, the hurricane. That's the easiest answer in the world. Because when you put anything in a hurricane, it's completely different, right? Because
Mhm.
number one is, like all the things I told you, the things you see in a hurricane, that if you didn't see it yourself, you would never believe it. Like manhole covers exploding and water fountains blowing up through the manholes 2 stories high, and not just once, but it just continues to be a 2 story fountain coming out of this manhole. You can't believe that. Or, like, I was downtown during Hurricane Harvey, and this mid rise caught fire and burned down during the hurricane while the firemen are trying to put out the. It was crazy. They were trying to put out a fire during a hurricane and rain uh, of a mid rise fire. I never saw anything. Or the jail was the first 4 floors of the jail was underwater.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. The courthouse, the first 2 stories of the courthouse was underwater. Was unbelievable stuff. And uh,
So, did
you have to
people,
write about these things. And do you
man,
know
so
what? Do you know what a hurricane smell? I mean, do you know what floodwater smells like?
who?
It's the nastiest water that exists. And
uh,
when you're in it, you can't fathom what it actually feels like to be in that water. It's like being in snot rolling down the street.
uh,
It's unbelievable.
uh, ew. That's gross. So,
Yes.
how did, was you in, like, was you in the water? Like,
Well, yes. But let me tell you. So I lived in a high rise downtown, right across the park from the convention center where they used it as the refugee center for the
mhm,
thousands of people whose homes were wiped out, and
mhm,
the army reserve in the waterproof giant trucks that you see pictures of. You may see them drive down there. They would drive out in the flood, pick these people up and bring them back
mhm,
to the convention center, and for 5 days every morning I would walk through the hurricane across the park to the convention center, and then all day help people as they brought in, get them dry clothes, some semblance of privacy in this giant place. It changed my life, by the way, helping those people. And
wow.
uh, then, and the hurricane actually sat on Houston for 5 days. So I actually put this crime thriller. I had You had 2 weeks of the hurricane approaching. Everyone in Houston knew the hurricane was going to hit. Then, when it got over Houston, it stopped for 5 days before it moved on. And that's the time period of the crime thriller. And so, yes, so for 5 days I was doing that. Then, all of these houses were flooded. And the thing about Houston, Brooke,
Mhm,
is a lot of people, yeah, Houston's the fourth largest city in America. People don't come to Houston because it's beautiful. They come here for work. And so a
mhm,
lot of people, they don't have family here. They came here alone for work. And so for weeks after that, I volunteered to work in these work groups to go to
mhm,
places and help people. They had no one to help them. Their homes were flooded, wiped out. Imagine what I told you that the flood water was like. Okay, the whole first floor buried in that water. Now it's drained. You can imagine what it was. They were sitting there. They didn't know what to do. So we would come in, and one day we would gut a whole house, rip it out, get it ready for repair, and go to the next house. And
what?
at weeks of that, helping complete strangers, I never knew them, Never will again, but we were helping change my life. Changed my life. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. And I wanted to write about those people too.
Man,
It's
wow.
strange to hear me talk about a hurricane and how it's one of the greatest moments of my life, but it was.
Man.
Seeing the
I've
way
never
people help people
experienced.
is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I've never experienced a hurricane. I've experienced like a tornado. Like we've been through a tornado here in Kentucky, but I haven't really seen a tornado.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we had like an aftershock of an earthquake, but that it was like little. But nothing really happens here in Kentucky, really. I don't
Here's
know.
another thing. Here's another thing. People think of Houston as stereotypically, well, it's from Texas. It's Texas.
Mhm.
Houston has 160 languages. It's a complete international city. And so I wanted to write about this hurricane and the international population that lives in Houston and people still helping each other. It was wonderful. And so in the story, I have a couple of Sikh brothers that are uh, they own a gas station and they rescue Marilyn after she has done something really, really bad. She gets caught in the flood water. She's being washed away. The Sikh brothers rescue her. They take her to the convention center. And I wanted to write about that. I wanted to include the diversity of the population, not for any wonderful reason, but that's what Houston really is, right?
Yeah,
It's people from all over the world. That's why it's some of the greatest food in the world because you can get food from all over the world. You need to
man.
you need to head down from Kentucky and enjoy some good food.
Try some Texas food.
It's not Texas. I can tell you, uh, I, I you can get better Indian food than in India. I know because
Really?
I've eaten it at both places. You can get better Chinese, more, you can get authentic Chinese food in Houston, right?
What?
The only thing you get, Turkish food is good here or better than it is in Turkey, except for the fish, because you can't get Black Sea caught prawns as big as a plate here, right?
Uh-huh.
But you can in Turkey. So the seafood's not as good as it is in Turkey. But I mean, it's just you can get great food from all over the world here. The best banh mi's you've ever had are in Houston,
What?
Texas. I know because I've eaten them everywhere.
I'm gonna have to visit Texas. I'm gonna have to come down there or over there. So, how would you describe your writing style?
Well, I'm working on the next book. It's Murder by Trial. Uh, and uh, it is. I'm trying to write about a character. I don't know if you've ever read Dunces of the Confederacy. Have you ever read that book? It won the
No.
Pulitzer Prize in the 20s. It's about this one character in New Orleans, and he's unforgettable and nauseating at the same time. And my challenge, my intellectual challenge in my next book is to find and write about a character that people cannot forget about, but they could not like at the same time because he's uncouth. He spits when he talks. It's just he cries if he thinks there's a million reasons. I found this character. I'm totally in love with him. That's what I'm writing about. It's totally ruined my outlines too. But having this character that you just cannot forget and is so multidimensional. And that's what I'm working on right now.
Nice, nice. So, can you give us a little bit more? Like, what is the scene, the setting of the newest book?
Well, here's the thing. Uh, and most people don't know this. Lawyers know this that try cases all the time. Not many judges do. Some police do. District attorneys know. And that is there's many uh, sets of facts on any particular crime when it goes to trial. There is the
Mhm.
facts that the public knows, right?
Mhm.
There's a whole many times there's a whole different set of facts that the lawyers and the judge know that nobody else knows, maybe the
Mhm.
police, but the public doesn't know it because they're keeping it a secret.
Hmm.
And then the jury, what they hear, the facts that a jury hears that makes the ultimate decision in a case on can be completely different than both those set of facts. And
Wow.
so that's why, or the public sometimes can see the decisions of a jury and say, how can that be? How can those people make that decision? That's because what they heard as a jury is so completely different than what the public thinks is the facts or what
Mhm.
the attorneys and the judge know is the facts, but not what they told the jury, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
totally different. And I wanted to write about those three sets of facts and how skewed they can be different. I wanted to
Mhm.
write about that in a way that the reader can say, wait, everybody knows this. Why aren't the lawyers telling the jury? How can the jury make a decision if they don't even know those facts? I
Yeah.
wanted that to be a part of the story too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So
That
you
is
see, those are
really good.
all parts of my work on the next novel.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. And so, is this a trilogy? Going to be a trilogy, or is it
N-
going to be a standalone?
No, well, I mean, you have to write all your books so they can be a standalone, right?
Hmm.
But it is a continuation of Murder by Storm.
Oh.
It's a trial in uh, a change of venue up in the Panhandle in Amarillo, Texas. When
Hmm.
I was when I was in law school, I worked for a district attorney's office, and uh, I spent the whole summer, even though I worked in Amarillo, Texas, for the district attorney. That's way up in the top of the Panhandle, top of Texas, and they had a triple capital murder trial in Galveston, Texas, way at the bottom on the other side of Houston on the coast. Uh, a triple capital murder trial for three teenagers that beat a police officer to death. And
What?
I was sent down with the district attorney's office for the whole summer to work on that case.
Hmm.
And so uh, I wanted to write about a change of venue trial. And that was a crazy. Every everyone expected those three young men, their family, to try to break them out of jail, and so we all expected there to be a shootout that summer. So
Hmm.
all the district attorneys, I even had a bodyguard. We all had bodyguards. It was crazy.
What? Oh
By the way,
man,
they
you've
got.
been on some crazy cases.
By the way, they got 20 years and they're out of jail now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, you've had some crazy cases. Oh wow. Oh man. So how did you feel about the responses from the readers about your book so far?
Uh, I was almost always shocked.
You getting positive feedback?
Well, yes, but let me tell you, it's like when you try a case. I've tried over 100 cases. When you try to create, I'm talking about in front of a jury. Uh, the thing about it is, you never know what a jury is going to make their decision on, right? That's why, as lawyers, you always go ask them afterwards. You always try to find. There's always one person that wants to talk too
Hmm.
much on a jury. You always want to find that person to find out why the jury made the decisions. Well, readers are the same way because
Hmm.
we're all people. Is what is important or impactful on any particular reader can be so different, and it's almost always not what you would expect. Like, I, these are crime thrillers. There are people killed in my books. I'm not telling secrets by saying that.
Mhm.
But in the first book, there's an animal that is involved in one of these crimes, and I got ripped. Not only did I get ripped for that, not the killing of people, but the injuries of animals. But
Mhm.
even my own sister tore me up about it.
Oh man.
It was funny. So that was a surprise. And then I was at a legal function one time, and this retired attorney came up to me and says, "Son, I read your book." I mean, I'm 60, I was 65 years old at the time. I don't know how I was his son. I said, "Son, I read your book." He was very disturbed. I told you about the lawyer in the case that
Uh-huh.
was in the struggle throughout the whole book. Why'd you have to make him a lawyer? Is what they guessed. And I was like, why do you care? But he was
Yeah.
very upset about it. But the thing that I got most was, which had compelled me to write uh, the second book from a woman's perspective and do it right, was uh, readers wanting to know, why was Marilyn so evil? Why was she doing the bad thing she was doing? My response was, she didn't think she was evil. She thought this is how she survived. And I
Yeah.
needed to explain that. And, but that was the biggest thing, that response I got from my readers was, why does Marilyn think that's so right? Why does she do those things? I got that all the time.
So in your books, the woman is, I wouldn't say the bad person, but the crazy
No, she's
person,
a
but
bad person.
she's a bad
Marilyn's a
person.
bad person. This is not
So
since, but she's been with me since I was 50, right? I mean,
mhm.
I'm 16 now, so she's been with me for about 18 to 20 years.
Oh wow.
Uh, uh, I take the books when I travel. I take pictures wherever I am. And my
Oh,
wife
wow.
has told me, she's like, "Would you leave Marilyn at home?" No, Marilyn
Oh,
is a bad person. Yes,
oh
I
yeah.
may Marilyn.
She's
Yes.
she's evil.
Anyway, what's your question?
Oh man, I forgot.
I made
I
her a
forgot.
woman. I made my bad guy a
Yeah,
woman. There's
yeah,
that dog
yeah.
again.
Oh, she likes to be in the scene. I'm trying to
I
push her away.
know. My dog would too, but it's so late. My dog wants to go to bed.
But so you made a woman the bad guy, and you made a man the good guy. So I've never read a book to where the woman is like evil, pure evil.
Oh,
This would
it's
be the first
fun.
one. Yeah, this would be the first one. Because
You're
you
gonna
always
like
think,
it.
oh,
You're
the
gonna
woman is
like
a good
it.
person. Oh,
Well,
okay.
think of it more like this. These OC and Maryland are in a chess match,
Hmm.
real life chess match. You're going to enjoy watching her two moves ahead of the know it all. You're
Huh.
going to like that.
Okay. So is it out in audiobooks yet, or is it just
Yes,
physical? It
it
is.
is out. Yes. And
Ooh.
it's the perfect beach book. It's a perfect taking it to the beach book. It's perfect. Both these
Oh,
books.
okay. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna
And you
get them,
know
and
what
I'm
I'm
gonna look
talking
forward to it.
about.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
have books that they stay on your bedstand. That's where they belong. There's some books that are great for the beach, and these books are perfect for audio.
Okay. Okay. I'm definitely gonna get those on my audiobook. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it because this is getting me all hyped up now because I want to hear about the evil woman now.
Wait, the second book, you're gonna understand. You're gonna like. Then you're gonna be evil because you're gonna say, "Okay, I get it. I'd be like that too." Because wait till you find out why she is the way she is.
Oh man, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be real good. So, where can my listeners find your books?
Well, Amazon, right? If they
Number
want to
one.
find it, if they want to find out more, but like this interview will be on my webpage at russelllittleauthor.com.
Mhm,
So all my interviews, information about me and the books, uh, all the shows I've been on is at my webpage.
mhm,
If they want to know what I'm doing day to day, like I posted before I was on this show, I posted on Russell Stories. It's my Facebook where I post about being an author and I post articles I'm interested in, the books that I'm reading. Uh, and I posted that I was going to be on your show tonight.
ah.
Uh, and uh, that's where they'll be able to find your show on mine. But of course, they'll be able to find it on my webpage too. Uh,
Mhm.
uh, but that's where they can find out more. But they can also get my books on Amazon. That's where
Okay.
people get books.
Nice, nice. So I want to ask you my last and final question before I let you go. So are you going to explore in any new genres, or are you just going to stick to the thriller crime type of genre?
I've actually written children's books too.
Oh, nice.
So I've already written children's books. I write about uh, my message in my children's books is as loving and protecting the large African fauna like elephants, rhinoceroses, hippos, because that's if our great grandchildren are going to be in a world with those animals,
Hmm.
uh, we have to protect them.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
definitely.
write about I write about children and the elephants and giraffes and rhinoceroses, little
Wow,
stories.
that's nice. So I want to thank you so much, Russell, for coming on my podcast and chatting with me today about your books.
Oh, thank you for letting me come. I'm so appreciative.
You have a
And
great
watch
day.
out for
Uh,
sheriffs and judges in Kentucky.
you have a great day.
Bye bye.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Russell. Like he said, you can go on his website and purchase his book and see this interview. Thank you all so much and see you next time for the next interview. Bye.